Hi everyone and welcome back. Welcome to my playlist, and here I'm talking about Svelte Kit. Okay, so before even going into the depth about what is Svelte Kit, how to write the application in Svelte Kit, what I want to do is I want to do a relative comparison of all these different frameworks we have: Next, Svelte Kit, and Next.js. Because you might be thinking, why should we learn Svelte Kit? We already have a React, we have Angular, we have Vue.js, we have Next.js for server-side rendering, Next for server-side rendering. Why another Node.js framework for writing a server-side rendered application? I'm calling it as a server-side rendered framework, and it is using indirectly Node.js with React, like Next.js is using Node.js with React. Similarly, it's Node.js with Svelte JS. Okay, so it becomes Svelte Kit. So what is the need of even learning this? So if we understand this, then we will obviously will follow the session, and we will try to learn this, because obviously there is something different from what we do in the Next.js, in the React.js. So let's talk about that. So we have like all these different frameworks available. So here we are talking about different frameworks like Svelte Kit. We have Next.js, we have Next.js, right? All are like similar name. I sometimes get confused. Next, maybe my pronunciation is not that good. Yeah, okay, let's come to the Svelte Kit. Kit is powered by Svelte, and this is used for server-side rendered components. We can just simply create a simple Svelte Kit application, and if you look into the folder structure and all, then you will find a similarity with what we were doing in the Next.js. Next.js also gives you the server-side rendered components and give you the routing from the server-side rendering. Why we are using server-side rendering? Because what we want is we want initial rendering faster when we are rendering the component. Because in SSR, whatever we are getting the final compiled HTML that browser can read and just display. There is no additional data fetching it will be doing. If we are making the data fetching call at the component level, then it will become a client-side rendered component. Okay, so this is the Next.js. That is also we have already covered in depth what is Next.js. Next.js, I never tried it, but this is also really cool, built with the Vue.js. Okay, so these all are different framework already available in the market if you want to write SSR application. My main focus is Svelte, because Svelte Kit, because I wanted to use Svelte JS. So Svelte Kit is a framework for building the ultra blazing fast web application, and it provides SEO capabilities. When you are rendering a server side, you can split the chunks. You are downloading or you are making an external request every time whenever you are hitting a particular route. So it's totally different from the client-side rendered framework like Create React app we used to have, or simple client-side Svelte JS application you are building. Okay, so let's get started. What we will do is we will start with a simple application, and then if you want to read more about what is a CSR and SSR, client-side rendering and the server-side rendering. In the client-side rendering, what you do is you have to worry about the build optimization, building the high performant applications, lazy loading, chunking and all. In the server-side rendering, what you are doing is whenever you are making a request, you are actually downloading that particular chunk with the data, with the compiled output HTML. If you remember, while learning the Node.js Express, we also used to learn some templating engines like Pug, Mustache or Handlebars. Those were also indirectly enabling us to write server-side rendering with the Node.js. Let's say I wanted to create a simple login page. I don't want to use any of these frameworks. So I can just do that with a simple HTML form in the EJS like Handlebars, and Node.js can render that particular page on /login route, /register, there will be register route. So these routes, so all the server-side rendering story is started back from there. We were I have written a lot of application with server-side rendering, the whole news portal application, where on these routes the whole web app is getting compiled and returned from the server side. Now we don't need to just get into the mustache, handlebar, or pug, all these templating engines. We can use these smart framework like Next.js is there. Sveltekit is totally new, but this is really fast, and it is using this Wit plugin, which is a Svelte plugin, which is doing this ultra blazing fast reloading, port module reloading, which was done by Webpack dev server in React, right? So we can simply write our application. Before that, what I want to do is I wanted to just talk about what we are going to talk about. Okay, so Sveltekit for SSR, a little bit about me. So these are different sections we are going to talk about. What is Sveltekit? What is server-side rendering? How it is different from client-side rendering? A simple example, a relative comparison for our audience to get clear understanding what is a client-side rendering and server-side rendering. What all different frameworks that supports that. Section 2, Svelte component, because now it is using Svelte JS. So all the concepts of Svelte JS, how the component communicates, props, state management, routing, all those concepts are kind of a similar. Here we are going to use a server-side routing, the concept similar to the Next.js. Okay, we will talk about the layouts to design the common layouts for the pages so that they can use the common UI. How we can load the data from the server side and render the whole compiled HTML to the client. Then Svelte configurations, plugins, adapters, different things. How we can use the Tailwind with the TypeScript with the Sveltekit, all these configurations. Then how we can build even the APIs, because this is a Node.js kind of a framework where you can also write the APIs. So what we do is /login will render the login page in the Sveltekit, or also it can render the REST API where you can deal with the JSON. Okay, you can do dynamic routes, you can do a data loading from the server side, client side data loading, server side data loading, and then we'll talk about how to deploy your application to the Vercel or the Netlify. We'll build something realistic like a food menu application or something. We will see end to end how we are writing the routes, the pages, how we are defining the layouts, how we are fetching the data, how we are building the APIs, and then finally deploying our application somewhere. So there are a lot of new terminologies you need to understand. SSR, server-side rendering, client-side rendering, Vite, Sveltekit plugins, Sveltekit adapters, different layouts in Sveltekit, SSR data loading, server-side data loading, client-side data loading, dynamic routes and routings, how to refetch the data, and how to load the data at the client side and server side, and then deploying these applications to a different deployment platform, maybe the AWS Lambda functions, maybe Netlify, Vercel, or maybe your own infrastructure. Okay, let's talk about all these things in the details step by step.